What is up, guys? Welcome to Loveshack Entertainment, and today we're going to be bringing you a deck profile video. For those of you who did not catch our Battle City opening, which we posted a couple days ago, I think it was Friday, I mentioned we were going to be doing an Aromage deck profile. I was just waiting to get the last Dragado that I needed to do it, and I managed to get that Dragado in that opening, so that was quite convenient. And so, with that being said, I have the deck all put together, and I'm pretty excited to show off profiles. So, you know, one of the things I talked about before with deck profile videos is we try to make sure they don't go too long. Some people said that they prefer them to be long and detailed explanation. Other people said they prefer to just be able to breeze through it. So, I think what we're going to do is try to just meet that in the middle, make sure we touch on everything, but also not spend too much time, just because some people just really don't want to sit and watch a 20-minute video, and there's just better things they can do with their time. So at any point, you know, if anybody has any questions about any of the choices that I don't touch on in the video, you can feel free to drop a comment down below, and I will do my best to explain it there. So, let's begin. I play 3 Aromage Jasmine. So, Aromage only has like 5 or 6 cards that came out in the set. So, obviously, you kind of have to play the majority of the core cards. So, Jasmine's effect, and the whole deck, obviously, for those of you unfamiliar with it, is centered around gaining life points. Jasmine's effect is, during your main phase, while your life points is higher than your opponent's, you can normal summon one plant-type monster in addition to your normal summoner set, except Aromage Jasmine. Once per turn, if you gain life points, draw a card. This card is obviously the backbone of the deck, and really what allows it to function at all. With 1900 defense, and actually 2400 under the field spell, which we'll talk about in a minute, plus draw power, it's actually really strong. The only problem, of course, is that generally you have to normal summon it to get it out, which means it's susceptible to being run over if you don't get the right combo pieces. Still, I've been able to have turns where I draw 2, maybe 3 cards off a combination of Jasmines and other things, and it really gives the deck the draw power that it needs to have any kind of chance to be competitive. 3 Dragados. This is kind of like the only reason the deck even has a legitimate you know, competitive nature at all. So for those of you, again, unfamiliar with Dragado, you can special summon it from your hand during either player's battle step, which is any point during the battle phase. If you do gain 1,000 life points, you can only use effect Dragado once per turn. So, if it's your opponent's turn, you have a Jasmine out, you special Dragado, you draw a card because of Jasmine's effect. And of course, you can do this during your turn as well, but generally you want to have Aroma Garden or something that's going to give you those setup pieces as well. And then, of course, Dragado can tribute himself to gain... give another monster on the field 1,000 attack till the end of the next turn. And the last 3 of that we play is Lone Fire Blossom. So Lone Fire Blossom, not even going to go over this one too much. The key would be to open Lone Fire Blossom so that you can kind of thin the deck a little bit and be able to get Jasmine out turn 1. However, while normally I do go through all 3 on the first turn just to kind of, like I said, thin the deck by 3 cards, sometimes it's better to leave 1 in the deck. That way, if you draw it later in the game, you can use it to bring out the bigger guy, or just a different monster if you need it. That really depends on your preference with the cards. We've got 2 Aromage Rosemary, so this is the beater, I guess, to some extent. If your life points are higher than your opponent's, if plant-type monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate monster effects until the end of the damage step. So obviously this is really useful against stuff like Yang Zing, Clowns, Shadal, etc. And then if you gain life points, you target one face-up monster on the field, change its battle position. So this does combo well with Jasmine sometimes in order to get your Jasmine in defense mode, but it also allows you to, you know, run over some of your opponent's bigger monsters if you need to. Rosemary is one I did consider playing at 3, but right now I'm kind of content with it at 2. Really, it's going to be up to your preference, but I've definitely seen arguments for both sides. 2 Max C. This card's obviously really good right now, and the deck does benefit from a lot of draw power, especially being able to get multiple Dragados and things like that. So, just a really good card in general. 1 Aromage Kananga? I don't know. I'm going to botch that a little bit, but... So basically this one, if your life points are higher than your opponent's, face-up monster your opponent controls, so it's 500 attack and defense. Once per turn, if you gain life points, you can return 1 spell or trap on your opponent's field to the hand. So, this is a one-of, but it's pretty strong, especially to be able to get over some floodgates that might slow you down and be able to set up some combos, or just to bounce an opponent's set card back and, you know, set them back a turn, let you push for some damage. And then the other Aromage is 1 Aromage Bergamot. This is level 6. Excuse me. Well, your life points higher than your opponent's plant-type monster you control attacks with defense with your monster. Inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Once per turn, if you gain life points, this card gains 1,000 attack till the end of your opponent's turn. So, this thing on its own becomes 34, and if you use it in combination with the field spell, it can become 39, and it can still gain boost during your opponent's turn as well. So you can make this pretty beefy, especially if you have Dragado, among other things, and the piercing damage is obviously what allows it to be so effective at what it does. The problem is it's level 6, so it can dead draw a lot, but it's also something we can bring out with Lone Fire, so it's one of those things that's definitely worth it to have, as far as I'm concerned, just as an option to really just have a strong field presence. And then one Thunder King. Obviously stops searching, it slows down searching. I also want to play Mistaken Arrest in this deck, I think, so if that's something that I can get my hands on, it might be something that I'm interested in toying around with in an updated version of the deck. So let's jump on to spells. 3 Aroma Gardens. This is the field spell I referenced a couple of times. Once per turn, if you control an Aroma monster, you can gain 500 life points. Also, all monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense till the end of your opponent's next turn. So that's even if this card leaves the field. Basically, it puts a condition in play where any monsters you summon, whether they're on the field now or if you summon them after, gain 500. This makes Dragado 2200. This makes Rosemary 2300, etc. But it also boosts defense, which allows Jasmine to sit on a 2400 defense. Which isn't exactly the easiest thing to get over. In addition, if an Aroma monster you control is destroyed by battle or by a card effect, you gain 1,000 life points. So this is, helps you to get your life points higher and be able to set up some other effects. 2 Terraforming, because you really need Aroma Garden to really get your plays going, and it's obviously hard to come across it. And they do have a little bit of search power, but it only searches monsters, so it's pretty irrelevant when it comes to getting your hands on that. 2 Pot of Duality. You do a bit of special summoning, but getting your combo pieces set up is definitely important, and so it's worth it to play the Duality just, for that reason. Not to mention, there's plenty of turns where you're not going to special summon, so basically just kind of self-explanatory for what it is. 2 MST, just to get over floodgates and stuff, vanities, mistake, things like that, things that are going to hurt you, things that are going to slow down your draw power, so just obviously useful for what it is. 1 Magic Planter, which I've actually considered bumping up to 2. This send 1 face-up continuous trap on the field of the graveyard, draw 2 cards, and we play about 8 continuous traps, which I'll show you in just a minute. So it's good draw power, and it lets me get rid of dead cards as well, like used up Fiendish Chains or Call of the Haunted, anything like that. 1 Poison of the Old Man. So this is kind of like a tech 2. You can either use it to burn for 800 damage, or you can use it to gain 1200. Now this is a quick play, so you use it during your opponent's turn to get a draw off of Jasmine, so essentially it's just an upstart goblin. But there are some cool combos with it in order to set off effects. I've been thinking about dropping it, but I've also been thinking about upping it to 2, so I'm really waiting to see when I have the opportunity to play with the deck a little bit more at locals, rather than just some casual games and test handing, to see how well the deck does. And that's 1 Ancient Leaf, so if your life points are 9,000 or higher, you can pay 2,000 life points to draw 2 cards. This is basically a Pot of Greed in the deck because it's so easy to pull off, but the thing is that paying the life points hurts you because it hinders your monster effects as well. So it's one of those things that I've been also trying around. If I end up cutting Poison of the Old Man, it's possible that I boost Ancient Leaf up to 2, or if I find that Poison of the Old Man is just really good, I could cut Ancient Leaf and up Magic Planter and Poison of the Old Man as well. And then for spells, just Regeki's that last one there, self-explanatory. Obviously, there are some scenarios where your monsters really can't beat over everything, so Regeki's just a useful out to that. So let's go on to traps then, and we play 2 Mirror Force. Again, you have a lot of scenarios where your monsters are weaker, and you need to set up some plays, so you want to be able to get over stuff. Excuse me, sorry. 2 Fiendish Chain, so really good card, continuous trap, so it combos with Magic Planter, and it's just effective against everything. 2 Call of the Haunted, so this is something I basically can use it to bring back Lone Fire, I can use it to bring back Jasmine, Thunder King, whatever, tons of options. The thing is, too, is that you don't really want to play Soul Charge in here because the life point damage is going to hurt a lot of your combos, being able to set things off. So Call of the Haunted's a better option, like I said, plus it has synergy with Magic Planter. And then 2 Humid Wind, so this is one of the other Aroma cards. You can pay 1,000 life points, add 1 Aroma monster from your deck to your hand, so it's a searcher, it's really good. And then once per turn, if you have lower life points than your opponent, gain 500 life points. So what makes this so cool is that by paying to search, you automatically make its effect live, so you can also pay to gain, which means during your opponent's turn you can draw off Jasmine and things like that, and obviously having search power in general is really useful. You can only use each effect of it once per turn, so even if you have 2 copies, you can't gain life points twice, but that doesn't change the fact that it's just a really useful asset in the deck. And then the last Aroma exclusive would be Dried Wind. Another continuous trap. Really, it's a long effect, but it's really only the first part of the effect that matters. If you gain life points, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy it. So that's that's a powerful play, especially if you have Jasmine out, you get to draw, you get to pop something. Now, it does have an additional effect where if your life points are 3,000 higher than your opponent's at least, you can pay life points equal to the difference, and then pop monsters your opponent controls up to the number of life points you paid. It's useful, but I've never really had a scenario where my life points were that high, and I needed that as an out to get over stuff. Like I said, it's not terrible, but I just don't see it as all that prominent as far as the deck is concerned. And then one Bottomless, one Solemn, one Torrential. Just generic stuff. Obviously, Torrential helps. Solemn is one of those ones, it's like, oh, do you really want to pay the life points? But I've found that it's at least useful to have it. And then the extra deck, I do apologize, it's kind of incomplete right now, but I don't go into it much. So I basically just threw together, you know, some stuff so that I could... The only time you're really going to go into the extra deck much is when you got your Ragados out with Rosemary or Thunder King, and even then, it's like something I prefer not to do. But, I mean, I got, you know, Daigusto Emerald, Heartland Draco, Shark, Utopia, Cowboy, Direwolf, Ragna Zero, just generic rank 4s. I mean, anything you want to put in there, you can, you know, and obviously try things out. You can also do, you know, level 3s, because you got Lone Fire and the other one. Again, I don't see it as a necessity, but if you feel as though you want to, then by all means. And then one Gachi. Also played Augusto Phoenix. I just don't have it on hand at the moment. Because there's very few scenarios where you do want to overlay your Jasmines after you've been able to draw plenty. And so at least having Gachi is there so you'll be able to recycle them. And then one Black Rose because I currently am siding to Breed Dragon, but I think I'm going to slide it into the main deck. It's pretty much a target for like half the monsters I play. So... you can use this, obviously, with Lone Fire and such with Debris to be able to make a Black Rose, and it just gives you some field presence in the process. So, that's essentially the deck, and the side deck is incomplete right now, so I'm not even going to bother putting it up, but think of it as any, you know, generic side deck, Mistaken Arrest, Shared Ride, Veilers, etc. I think the deck's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I just think it lacks that competitive edge that it needs to really be able to stand up to a lot of decks. But that doesn't change the fact that it's a really fun deck to play, and it's just cool with the interactions between Jasmine and Jiraiya and a lot of the spells and traps. So it's pretty fun, and I definitely recommend giving it a shot if you're looking for something casual. I just can't, you know, sit here and say that it's going to be something that I would take to a YCS or an ARG event or anything like that. But I do like it. It's pretty cool, and I think it's definitely worth giving a shot if you're interested in it. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Share your own tips, ideas, etc. for the deck profile video, and I'll see you next time right here. Loveshack Entertainment.